The burner phone fell out of my wife's Hermes bag like a grenade with the pin already pulled. I'm Felix Rourde, 40 years old, and I make my living finding financial discrepancies that people desperately want to hide. Numbers don't lie, people do. After 15 years as a compliance officer, I can smell bullshit from 3 spreadsheets away. What I couldn't smell, apparently, was my own wife's betrayal sitting right under my nose for the past 6 months. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. The phone hit our marble kitchen floor with a plastic crack that might as well have been my heart breaking. Brielle was upstairs in the shower, humming some pop song while steam billowed out of our ensuite bathroom. She always hummed when she was happy. These days, she only seemed happy when she wasn't around me. I picked up the phone. It was cheap, plastic, the kind you buy with cash at a gas station when you don't want anyone tracking your calls. The screen showed 17 unread messages from Teddy V. The preview text made my stomach drop. Can't wait to feel you again tonight, baby. Same hotel? My hands shook as I scrolled through weeks of explicit messages, hotel receipts, and photos I never wanted to see. Brielle, my wife of 12 years, the woman who planned luxury events for the city's elite, was having an affair with Teddy Voss, a real estate developer I'd met at charity galas. The same guy who always made jokes about my boring job while flashing his Rolex and talking about his latest property flip. The shower upstairs stopped running. I had maybe 3 minutes before Brielle came down for her morning coffee, already dressed in whatever designer outfit she'd chosen for today's client meetings. I took photos of every message, every receipt, every piece of evidence with my own phone. 15 years of compliance training kicked in. Document everything, build the case, never act on emotion alone. Felix? Did you make coffee? Brielle's voice floated down from upstairs, sweet as poison. I slipped the burner phone back into her bag exactly where I'd found it. Just starting it now, honey. She appeared in the kitchen 5 minutes later, looking like she'd stepped out of a magazine. At 37, Brielle still turned heads wherever she went. Blonde hair perfectly styled, makeup flawless, wearing a black dress that probably cost more than most people's rent. She kissed my cheek absently while checking her regular phone. I've got 3 client meetings today, she said, not looking at me. Don't wait up tonight. The Henderson wedding is this weekend and we're doing final preparations. I handed her the coffee mug, watching her face for any tell, any sign of guilt. Nothing. She was as smooth as always, delivering lies like they were weather reports. Which hotel are you meeting at? I asked casually. Her hand paused for just a fraction of a second before taking the mug. The Meridian downtown. Why? Just curious. You've been working so many late nights lately. She looked at me then, really looked, and I saw something flicker in her green eyes. Calculation. Felix, you know how demanding this business is. These clients pay premium prices because I give them premium service. Premium service. If she only knew how accurate that was. Of course, I said. I'm proud of how dedicated you are. She smiled, the same smile that had made me fall in love with her 13 years ago at a friend's party. Back then, she was working as a junior event coordinator, ambitious and hungry. I was a junior analyst, steady and reliable. We'd built this life together, the downtown condo, the luxury cars, the social circle that revolved around charity galas and wine tastings. Or so I thought. After she left, I sat in our kitchen staring at my reflection in the black granite countertop. When had I become invisible in my own marriage? When had steady and reliable become boring and ignorable? My phone buzzed. Text from my sister-in-law, Maris. Coffee later? I need to talk to you about something. Maris Ventor was Brielle's younger sister, a clinical therapist with a practice downtown. Where Brielle was all surface glamour, Maris was sharp intelligence wrapped in understated elegance. She'd always been cool toward Brielle's lifestyle, making subtle comments about materialism and authenticity that Brielle either missed or ignored. I texted back, Sure, noon at Murphy's? Perfect. And Felix? Bring your appetite for truth. That was an odd thing to say, even for Maris. I spent the morning at my office, running compliance reports and trying to focus on other people's financial irregularities while my own life crumbled. My assistant Rita, a sharp 29-year-old who handled my scheduling and research, noticed my distraction immediately. You look like someone who just discovered their favorite restaurant has been serving cat food, she said, setting a stack of reports on my desk. Something like that. I trusted Rita. She'd worked for me for 3 years and had an uncanny ability to find information that people thought they'd hidden. Rita, hypothetically, if someone wanted to trace cash withdrawals and credit card usage patterns, what would be the most efficient approach? She raised an eyebrow. Hypothetically, I'd start with bank statements, cross-reference with credit reports, and look for patterns in timing and amounts. Why? Someone cooking books? Something like that. At noon, I met Maris at Murphy's, a quiet cafe near her office. She was already there, nursing a latte and reading case notes. Even in her casual clothes, jeans and a sweater, she had an elegance that didn't need designer labels to announce itself. "You look terrible," she said as I sat down. "Thanks, that's exactly what I needed to hear today." She closed her notebook and leaned forward. "Felix, I'm going to ask you something, and I want you to answer honestly. How long have you known about Brielle and Teddy?" The coffee I was about to drink went down wrong, and I spent 30 seconds coughing. "How did you—" "I'm a therapist. I notice things. Also, Brielle's friend Mimi has a big mouth when she's had 3 glasses of wine." Maris's expression was ice cold. She's been bragging about Brielle's exciting new romance to anyone who'll listen. "Since this morning," I said quietly. "I found her burner phone." "I'm sorry, Felix. I really am." And she looked it. But I'm not surprised. Brielle has always been selfish, even as a kid. Everything had to revolve around her, her needs, her wants. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you're a good man who deserves better, and because I've watched my sister take advantage of people her entire life." Maris stirred her latte slowly. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know yet. Confront her, I guess. Try to save the marriage." "Felix." Maris's voice was gentle but firm. "You can't save something that the other person has already thrown away. The question is, what are you going to do to save yourself?" That afternoon, I went home early and waited. Brielle came in at 7, looking slightly disheveled despite her best efforts to fix her appearance. Her lipstick was gone, her hair wasn't quite right, and she had that familiar glow I used to be responsible for. "How were the client meetings?" I asked. "Exhausting. I need a shower. Before you go upstairs, we need to talk." Something in my tone made her stop. She turned, and I saw her defenses go up like shields. "About what?" I pulled out my phone and showed her one of the photos I'd taken of the burner phone screen. "About Teddy." The color drained from her face, but she recovered quickly. Too quickly. "Felix, I can explain." "Can you? Can you explain 6 months of lies, hotel rooms, I love you, text to another man?" She sat down across from me, and I watched her shift into damage control mode. "It's not what you think. Teddy and I were just friends. He's going through a divorce, and I've been helping him emotionally." "By sleeping with him in hotel rooms?" She flinched at my language. I never swore, never raised my voice. Mr. Steady and Reliable doesn't make scenes. "Don't be crude, Felix. It's not like you." "Nothing about this is like me, Brielle. Finding out my wife is cheating, that's definitely new territory." She leaned forward, turning on the charm that had worked on me for 12 years. "Felix, honey, I made a mistake. I was lonely, you work so much, and Teddy was there. I work so much. I work 40 hours a week at an office job. You're the one who's never home, always at client meetings and venue inspections. My business is demanding. Your business is apparently demanding you sleep with married clients." She stood up abruptly. "I don't have to listen to this. You're being cruel and unreasonable." "I'm being unreasonable? Brielle, you've been cheating on me for 6 months. It meant nothing. He means nothing to me. You're my husband, Felix. I love you." "You have a funny way of showing it." She started crying then, perfect tears that didn't smudge her makeup. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It was a mistake, a stupid, selfish mistake. Please don't throw away 12 years of marriage over this." For a moment, I almost believed her, almost fell back into the pattern of forgiving, understanding, being the steady one who held everything together. Then I remembered the text messages, the hotel receipts, the "I can't wait to leave him" message I'd seen on that burner phone. "Are you planning to leave me for him?" "What? No. Felix, I would never. I can't wait to leave him and start our real life together." "That was your text to Teddy last Tuesday." She went very still. "You read all of them?" "Every single one. 6 months of planning your exit strategy while pretending to love me?" She straightened up, and suddenly the tears stopped. The mask slipped, and I saw the real Brielle underneath. Cold, calculating, already 3 steps ahead. "Fine," she said. "You want the truth?" "Yes, I'm in love with Teddy. Yes, we're planning a future together. But I was trying to do this gently to make the transition easier for everyone." "How considerate of you." "Don't be sarcastic, Felix. It doesn't suit you." She crossed her arms. Look, we both know this marriage has been over for years. We're roommates, not lovers. When was the last time we had closeness? When was the last time you looked at me like you actually wanted me? When was the last time you gave me a chance to? I gave you 12 years of chances. You're a good man, Felix, but you're boring. You're predictable. You come home, eat dinner, watch TV, and go to bed. Teddy makes me feel alive. Teddy is married. He's getting divorced. His wife already knows about us. How modern of you all. She grabbed her purse, the one with the burner phone, and headed for the door. I'm staying at Mimi's tonight. We can talk about this tomorrow when you've calmed down. Brielle. She stopped at the door. Don't bother coming back tomorrow, or any other day. She looked at me for a long moment, and I thought I saw a flicker of regret. Then it was gone. You'll change your mind, she said. You always do. The door closed behind her with a soft click, and I was alone in our perfect apartment with our perfect life that had just revealed itself to be perfectly fake. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat in my home office, surrounded by bank statements, credit card bills, and legal documents, building a case like I was investigating corporate fraud. Because in a way, I was. Brielle had been defrauding me emotionally and financially for months. The cash withdrawals started in January. Small amounts at first, 20 here, 50 there. By March, she was pulling out $300 weekly, always from ATMs near the Meridian Hotel. Her credit card showed charges at lingerie stores I'd never seen her shop at, expensive dinners for two at restaurants we'd never been to together, and hotel spa services on days she claimed to be working. My phone rang at 6 a.m. Maris. How did it go? She asked without preamble. She's at Mimi's, claims she was trying to transition gently out of our marriage. Bullshit. She was trying to figure out how to take half of everything without looking like the bad guy. I rubbed my eyes. How do you know your sister so well? Because I've been cleaning up her messes since we were kids. Felix, can I come over? I have something to show you. An hour later, Maris sat at my kitchen table with a manila folder and a grim expression. She'd brought coffee and bagels, which was good because I'd forgotten that humans needed food to function. Before I show you this, she said, I need you to know that I wrestled with whether to get involved. But Brielle crossed a line, and someone needs to look out for you. She opened the folder and pulled out printed screenshots of social media posts. Mimi's Instagram, to be specific. Mimi has been documenting Brielle's affair for months, thinking it's all very romantic and exciting. Maris spread the photos across the table. Look at the dates. The post showed Brielle and Teddy at restaurants, art galleries, even a weekend trip to wine country that Brielle had told me was a solo work retreat. They weren't trying to hide. They were just being careful not to post anything on Brielle's own accounts. There's more, Maris said. She pulled out her phone and showed me a group text thread. Brielle's friend circle has been gossiping about this for weeks. They think it's hilarious that you don't know. I read the messages, each one like a small knife to the chest. Mimi. Brielle says Felix thinks spreadsheets are foreplay lol. Jessica. Poor guy. He has no idea she's getting her real needs met elsewhere. Vanessa. Teddy is so much more exciting than Felix, like comparing a Ferrari to a Honda Civic. Mimi. She's going to leave him after the Meridian contract is done. Wants to finish the season strong. The Meridian contract? I looked up at Maris. Brielle's company is planning a series of events for Teddy's real estate firm. Big money. She's been mixing business with pleasure, literally. I set the phone down carefully. So she's been cheating on me with a client, lying to me about it, spending our money on the affair, and letting her friends mock me behind my back. That's about the size of it, yes. And you knew about this how long? Maris looked uncomfortable. I suspected for about a month. I knew for sure for 2 weeks. Felix, I wanted to tell you, but what? But I hoped she'd come to her senses and end it herself. I thought maybe if I talked to her. She shook her head. I tried. Last week I confronted her, asked her what the hell she thought she was doing. What did she say? That she was finally happy for the first time in years, that you were a good provider but a terrible husband, that she deserved passion and excitement. Maris's voice was ice cold. She said you'd never fight for her anyway, so what was the point of pretending? That hit like a physical blow. She said that? I'm sorry, Felix. I know it hurts, but you need to know what you're dealing with. I stared at the evidence spread across my kitchen table, months of betrayal, documented and shared like entertainment for her social circle. The woman I'd loved for 13 years had turned our marriage into a joke. What would you do, I asked Maris, if you were me? She was quiet for a long moment. I'd stop playing defense and start playing offense. Meaning? meaning Brielle has been controlling this narrative from the beginning. She gets to have her cake and eat it too. Stable husband providing security while she has her exciting affair. She gets to decide when and how to leave, probably with a nice divorce settlement. Meanwhile, you get to be the boring cuckold that everyone pities. That's a lovely image. It doesn't have to be true. Felix, you have skills she doesn't even know about. You're a compliance officer. You find hidden money and trace financial crimes for a living. You understand legal documentation and asset protection. You're not some helpless victim. She was right. I'd been thinking like a betrayed husband instead of like a professional investigator. Emotional thinking instead of strategic thinking. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting you stop reacting and start acting. Protect yourself legally and financially. And maybe, just maybe, make sure Brielle faces some consequences for her choices. I looked at my sister-in-law, really looked at her. Maris was beautiful in a completely different way than Brielle. Understated, intelligent, real. She was also clearly furious at her sister, and I was starting to understand why. Why are you helping me? I asked. Because I like you. Because you've been good to my family for 12 years, even when we didn't deserve it. And because I'm tired of watching Brielle hurt people without consequences. There's something else, isn't there? She smiled, but it wasn't a happy expression. Brielle borrowed $20,000 from me last year, said it was for business expenses, promised to pay it back within 6 months. Guess what she spent it on? The affair. Hotel rooms, jewelry for Teddy, that wine country trip. She's been funding her betrayal with my money. Now I understood the ice in Maris's voice. This wasn't just about protecting me, this was about justice. What do you want to do? I asked. I want to help you disappear everything she thinks she's going to get in the divorce. I want to make sure her affair becomes public knowledge in a way that damages her business. And I want to watch her face when she realizes that boring, predictable Felix isn't going to roll over and give up. I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Excitement. Not the desperate, anxious energy of betrayal, but the cold satisfaction of a plan coming together. I'll need help. Legal help, technical help, someone who understands social media and public relations. I have a friend who's a divorce attorney. Nasty, expensive, and very good at protecting assets. And Rita, your assistant, she's sharp, right? Trustworthy? Very. What about muscle, in case Teddy decides to get physical when this all comes out? I thought about Nash, my friend from college who'd become a private security contractor after leaving the police force. Nash was the kind of guy who could make problems disappear quietly and legally. I might know someone. Maris gathered up the photos and documents. Felix, I need you to understand something. Once we start this, there's no going back. Brielle will never forgive you, and she'll fight dirty. She's already fighting dirty. I'm just going to fight smarter. Good. She stood up. I'm staying at a hotel downtown for the next few days. Brielle can't know I'm helping you. Not yet, but when you're ready to move, call me. After she left, I sat in my quiet apartment and made a list. Not an emotional list of grievances, but a professional assessment of assets, vulnerabilities, and strategic objectives. Assets, joint bank accounts, investment portfolio, the condo, 2 cars, Brielle's business equipment, and client list. Vulnerabilities, Brielle's public reputation, her business relationships, her financial dependence on joint assets, Teddy's marriage, and professional reputation. Objectives, protect my financial interests, ensure Brielle faces consequences for her choices, regain control of my own narrative. For the first time in months, I felt like myself again. Not the betrayed husband, not the boring provider, but Felix Rourde, compliance officer, who specialized in uncovering financial fraud and making sure people face the consequences of their actions. Brielle thought she knew me. She thought I was predictable, passive, someone who would accept whatever scraps of affection she threw my way. She was about to learn how wrong she was. Rita took one look at me Monday morning and immediately closed my office door. Okay, spill it, she said. You look like someone who just discovered they have superpowers. I'd worked with Rita for 3 years, and she had an uncanny ability to read people and situations. It's what made her so good at her job. She could spot inconsistencies and lies before they became problems. I need your help with something, I said. Something personal, but it requires your professional skills. Does this have to do with why you were asking about tracing financial patterns last week? Yes. She sat down across from my desk. Is someone embezzling from the company? Someone is embezzling from me. I told her everything. The affair, the financial evidence, Brielle's plans to leave after maximizing her divorce settlement. Rita listened without interruption, occasionally taking notes. That snake, she said when I finished. Sorry, but I have strong feelings about cheaters. My ex-husband pulled similar crap. I need to protect myself legally and financially, and I need to make sure she faces appropriate consequences. Define appropriate. Public humiliation, loss of business reputation, financial consequences that match the financial damage she's done to me. Rita grinned. It was not a nice expression. Now you're talking my language. What do you need? Complete financial analysis of all joint accounts, credit cards, and assets. Documentation of every expense related to her affair. A strategy for legally separating and protecting my assets before she files for divorce. I can do that. What else? Research on Teddy Voss. Business dealings, financial status, reputation, vulnerabilities. The real estate guy? I know someone who works in property development. Let me make some calls. Rita, this has to be completely legal. I'm not looking to break any laws or do anything unethical. Felix, I've worked with you for 3 years. You're the most ethical person I know. Trust me, everything I do will be completely above board. That afternoon, I met Nash at a sports bar near his office. Nash Williams was built like a linebacker and had the kind of presence that made troublemakers reconsider their life choices. He'd left the police force after 10 years to start his own security consulting business, and he specialized in protecting people who were being threatened or harassed. Let me get this straight, he said after I explained the situation. Your wife is cheating with some rich asshole, planning to divorce you and take half your stuff, and her friends are all laughing about what a pushover you are. That's the summary, yes. And you want to what, exactly? Beat the guy up? Slash his tires? I have to tell you, Felix, that's not really your style. I don't want to beat anyone up. I want to outmaneuver them. Legally, financially, socially. I want them to face real consequences for their choices. Nash leaned back in his chair. You know what? I like this version of you better. You've been too nice for too long. What do you need from me? Security consulting. Making sure I'm protected if Teddy decides to get physical when this all comes out. Maybe some surveillance work, legal surveillance, documenting their public behavior. I can do that. What's your timeline? I need to move fast. Brielle thinks she's controlling the situation, but she's going to file for divorce soon. I need to be 3 steps ahead of her. Consider it done. The next morning, Rita had a stack of reports waiting on my desk. Your wife has been busy, she said. In the past 6 months, she spent over $15,000 on this affair. Hotels, restaurants, gifts, travel, lingerie. She's also been moving money from your joint savings into a separate account that only she has access to. How much money? $37,000. Small transfers, spread out over time, probably hoping you wouldn't notice. I felt my jaw clench. What else? Teddy Voss is interesting. He's leveraged to the hilt. Big loans on all his properties, cash flow problems, and his wife filed for divorce 2 weeks ago. Apparently, she found out about the affair and she's going after everything. So he's about to lose half his assets in his own divorce. Gets better. His business is struggling. 3 of his major development projects are behind schedule and over budget. He needs the Meridian contract, your wife's event planning work, to stay afloat financially. Meaning, if Brielle's reputation gets damaged and she loses clients, Teddy loses a major source of income right when he can least afford it. I stared at the reports, seeing the bigger picture. Brielle and Teddy weren't just having an affair, they were financially dependent on each other. She needed his money and status, he needed her business connections and the income from her contracts. There's one more thing, Rita said. I did some digging on social media. Brielle's friends have been posting about this affair for weeks. It's all over Instagram, Twitter, even TikTok. They think it's romantic and exciting. She showed me her phone, videos of Brielle and Teddy at restaurants, photos from their wine country trip, even a TikTok video of Brielle showing off jewelry that Teddy had given her, all posted by her friends, all tagged with locations and dates. They documented everything themselves, I said. Yep, and here's the beautiful part. None of these posts are private. Anyone can see them, including Teddy's wife, potential business partners, and future clients. Have you saved copies of everything? Every single post, comment, and video, time-stamped and documented. That evening, Maris called. How's the investigation going? Better than I expected. Rita found evidence of financial fraud, and Teddy's in worse shape than we thought. What about your end? I talked to my divorce attorney friend, Catherine Morrison. She's expensive but ruthless. She can file papers to freeze joint assets and protect your interests before Brielle knows what hit her. What's the timeline? She can have papers ready by Thursday, but Felix, once we do this, it's war. Brielle will realize you're not the passive victim she expected. Good. I'm tired of being underestimated. There's something else. I've been thinking about the social aspect of this. Brielle's business depends on her reputation in social circles. She plans events for wealthy clients who care about discretion and class. And having an affair with a married client while mocking her own husband isn't very classy. Exactly. What if some of those social media posts accidentally became more public? What if potential clients started seeing a different side of Brielle's professional behavior? I understood what she was suggesting. You're talking about making sure the right people see the evidence that's already public. I'm talking about making sure the truth comes to light in a way that lets people make informed decisions about who they want to do business with. Wednesday morning, I called in sick to work and spent the day with Catherine Morrison, the divorce attorney. She was exactly what Maris had promised: sharp, expensive, and absolutely ruthless. Your wife has made several mistakes, she said, after reviewing Rita's financial analysis. Moving money to separate accounts without disclosure, using joint funds for personal expenses unrelated to the marriage, and conducting an affair that impacts her business relationships. What can we do? We can file for legal separation with asset protection, freezing all joint accounts and requiring full financial disclosure. We can also file for divorce on grounds of adultery, which affects asset division in this state. How long do we have? Based on the evidence, I'd say your wife will file within the next 2 weeks. She's been moving money and documenting expenses. Classic preparation for divorce proceedings. But if we file first, we control the narrative. Do it. There's one more thing, Mr. Rourde. Your wife's affair with a client creates potential legal issues for her business. If she's been using her position as an event planner to facilitate personal relationships, that could be considered professional misconduct. Her business license could be at risk. What would trigger an investigation? A complaint from a concerned party, someone who felt that her conduct was unprofessional or potentially harmful to the industry's reputation. I thought about that. Brielle had built her business on being trustworthy, discreet, and professional. If her clients knew she was sleeping with other clients and mocking her own husband publicly, how many would continue to trust her with their important events? How would someone file such a complaint? Catherine smiled. It was not a warm expression. Hypothetically, they would contact the Better Business Bureau and the Professional Event Planning Association with documented evidence of unprofessional conduct. Hypothetically. Of course. That evening, I sat in my home office with Nash, Rita, and Maris, planning our next moves like a military operation. Legal papers will be served Friday morning, I said. Asset freeze goes into effect immediately. Social media evidence gets distributed to select contacts Friday afternoon, Rita added. I've identified 12 key people in Brielle's professional network who should see what kind of person they're doing business with. I'll handle the complaint to the professional associations, Maris said, as a concerned citizen who's witnessed unprofessional conduct. And I'll make sure Teddy understands that his behavior has consequences, Nash said. Nothing illegal, just a conversation about how his actions affect other people. What about Brielle? I asked. What about her? Maris replied. She made her choices. Now she gets to live with the consequences. For the first time in months, I felt like I was in control of my own life. Brielle thought she was playing chess while I played checkers. She was about to discover that I'd been playing chess all along. I'd just been waiting for the right moment to say checkmate. Friday morning arrived with the kind of crisp autumn air that makes everything feel possible. I was in my office by 7, pretending to work while actually waiting for the phone call that would change everything. It came at 9:47 a.m. Felix! Brielle's voice was shrill with panic. What the hell did you do? There are lawyers at my office with papers saying you're freezing our accounts. Good morning, Brielle. I filed for legal separation and asset protection. You can't do this. Half of everything is mine. Actually, I can do this. And according to my attorney, adultery affects asset division in this state, especially when joint funds were used to finance the affair. There was silence on the other end. Then, you bastard! You sneaky, vindictive bastard! I prefer thorough and legally cautious. I'm coming over. We need to talk about this. No, we don't. All communication goes through attorneys now. Have a nice day, Brielle. I hung up and immediately called Nash. It's starting. She's going to be angry and desperate. Already on it. I'm parked outside your building, and I've got eyes on Teddy's office, too. If either of them tries anything stupid, I'll know about it. At lunch, Rita knocked on my office door with a satisfied expression. Phase 2 is complete. 12 key people in the event planning and social scene have received anonymous tips about some very interesting social media content. How anonymous? Completely untraceable. Just helpful links to publicly available posts with timestamps and locations. Let people draw their own conclusions. Any responses yet? Oh, yes. She showed me her phone. Mrs. Henderson, the big wedding this weekend that Brielle's been working on? She just posted on Facebook asking if anyone knows a more professional event planner because she's having concerns about her current vendor's judgment and discretion. That's a $50,000 contract. Was a $50,000 contract. My phone buzzed with a text from Maris. Complaint filed with professional association. Included financial evidence of misused client relationships and documented unprofessional conduct. They're opening an investigation immediately. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned, but I wasn't prepared for how it would feel to watch someone's life systematically fall apart, even someone who had betrayed me as thoroughly as Brielle had. That feeling lasted about 30 seconds until my phone rang again. "Felix, you piece of shit." This time it was Teddy Voss, and he was furious. What kind of man goes after his wife's business because he can't satisfy her at home? The kind of man who doesn't appreciate being cheated on and mocked publicly for 6 months. Brielle told me what a pathetic loser you are, but I didn't believe her until now. Real men fight face to face. Real men don't sleep with other people's wives, but if you want to meet face to face, I'm sure we can arrange that. You bet we can. I'm coming to your office right now. Looking forward to it. I called Nash immediately. Teddy's on his way here, and he's angry. Perfect. I love it when they make it easy. 20 minutes later, Teddy Voss stormed into my office building like he owned it. He was exactly what you'd expect from a guy who drove a Porsche and wore $1,000 suits, all flash and no substance, the kind of man who thought money and aggression could solve any problem. He made it as far as the lobby before Nash intercepted him. I watched from my office window as Nash, all 6'4", 250 pounds of him, had a quiet conversation with Teddy in the parking lot. I couldn't hear what was said, but I could see Teddy's body language change from aggressive to nervous to downright scared. Nash called me 5 minutes later. "Problem solved. Mr. Voss has decided that discretion is the better part of valor." "What did you tell him?" "Just explained that harassment and threats are illegal and that his behavior was being documented. Also mentioned that his wife's divorce attorney might be very interested in evidence of him threatening people." "And he backed down?" "Bullies usually do when they realize they're not dealing with an easy target." That afternoon brought a cascade of consequences. Rita kept me updated as the social media evidence spread through Brielle's professional network. 3 more clients have canceled contracts, she reported at 4 o'clock. The Meridian Hotel is reviewing their vendor relationships, and someone posted a 1-star review on Brielle's business page with screenshots of her affair posts. How's she responding? Badly. She's been calling and texting everyone she knows, trying to do damage control. But it's too late. The screenshots are everywhere now. My phone rang. Maris. "Felix, I just got off the phone with Brielle. She's not taking this well." "Define not well." "She's threatening to destroy you. Says she's going to tell everyone you're abusive, that you've been controlling and manipulative. She's also claiming you hacked her social media accounts." "Can she prove any of that?" "Of course not, because it's not true. But she's desperate, and desperate people do stupid things." "What kind of stupid things?" "She's driving to your apartment right now. Said she's going to get what's rightfully hers before the lawyers can stop her." I looked at my watch. 5:30. I'm not even home yet. That's probably the point. Felix, I think she's planning to take things, jewelry, electronics, anything valuable that she can claim belongs to her. That would be breaking and entering. Only if someone stops her. I called Nash. Change of plans. I need you to meet me at my apartment. Brielle's on her way there, and she's not planning a friendly visit. On my way. Should I bring backup? Just bring a camera. Nash and I arrived at my building at the same time as Brielle. She was in the parking garage, pulling suitcases out of her BMW. When she saw us, her face went through a series of expressions, surprise, anger, and finally cold calculation. "Felix, I came to get my things." "With a locksmith?" I nodded toward the man standing next to her car, holding a toolkit. "I have a right to my personal belongings." "You have a right to request them through your attorney. You don't have a right to break into a property that's under legal protection." The locksmith looked uncomfortable. "Ma'am, if there's a legal dispute about access." "There's no dispute," Brielle said quickly. "This is my husband, and these are my things." "Actually," I said, pulling out my phone, "there's a restraining order that was filed this afternoon. You're not supposed to be here." It wasn't true. We hadn't filed a restraining order. But Brielle didn't know that, and the locksmith definitely didn't want to get involved in a legal mess. "I'm out of here," the locksmith said, packing up his tools. "Lady, you need to sort this out with lawyers." After he left, Brielle turned on me with pure fury. "You think you're so smart, don't you? You think you've won?" I think I've protected myself from someone who was planning to cheat me out of half my assets after betraying me for 6 months. I gave you 12 years of my life, and I gave you 12 years of mine. The difference is I didn't spend the last 6 months of them planning to betray you. Do you want to know the truth, Felix? The real truth? Her voice was getting louder, more shrill. I've been unhappy for years. Years. You're boring, you're predictable, you're everything I never wanted in a man. Teddy makes me feel alive in ways you never could. Then you should be happy that you're free to be with him. Free? You've destroyed my business, my reputation. My clients are canceling contracts because of your vindictive little campaign. I didn't destroy anything, Brielle. I just made sure people could see the truth about who you really are. The truth? The truth is that you're a pathetic little man who can't handle the fact that his wife found someone better. Nash stepped forward. Ma'am, I think you should leave now. And who are you? Felix's bodyguard? How pathetic is that? I'm someone who documents harassment and threatening behavior for legal proceedings. She looked at the camera in his hand and realized she'd been recorded. Her whole rant, her admission about being unhappy for years, her threats, all documented. You bastards, she whispered. Brielle, I said quietly. You made your choices. You chose to have an affair. You chose to mock me to your friends. You chose to steal money from our joint accounts. You chose to plan your exit strategy without any consideration for me. These are just the consequences of your choices. She stared at me for a long moment, and I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before, fear. For the first time, she was realizing that she wasn't in control of the situation. This isn't over, she said. Yes, it is. She got in her car and drove away, tires squealing on the concrete. Nash lowered his camera. Well, that was educational. Think the recording will be useful? Oh, absolutely. Nothing like someone confessing to years of deception and financial fraud on camera. That evening, I sat in my apartment now, legally speaking, and took stock of the day. In 12 hours, I'd frozen Brielle's access to our joint assets, triggered an investigation into her professional conduct, caused her to lose multiple business contracts, and documented her harassment and threats. It should have felt like victory. Instead, it felt like the end of something that had been gone for longer than I'd wanted to admit. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. You haven't won anything. This is just the beginning. I forwarded the text to Nash and Catherine Morrison, then blocked the number. Brielle was right about one thing. This wasn't over. But she was wrong about who was going to win. 3 weeks later, the full scope of the consequences became clear. Brielle's event planning business was essentially finished. She'd lost 80% of her clients. The professional association had suspended her license pending investigation, and the Better Business Bureau had issued a formal complaint about her conduct. Teddy wasn't faring much better. His wife's divorce proceedings had frozen his assets. 3 major clients had pulled their contracts after learning about his affair, and the Meridian Hotel had terminated their relationship with his development company. I should have felt satisfied. Instead, I felt empty. Revenge, it turned out, was a lot like eating cotton candy. Initially sweet, but ultimately unsatisfying and slightly nauseating. That changed on a Thursday evening when Maris called with news that shifted everything. Felix, I need to tell you something, and I need you to not freak out. That's never a good way to start a conversation. Brielle came to see me today. She's broke, Felix. Completely broke. She's been staying with Mimi, but Mimi's getting tired of supporting her. Her business is gone, her reputation is destroyed, and Teddy won't return her calls. I'm supposed to feel sorry for her? No, you're supposed to be careful. She's desperate, and she blames you for everything. She's talking about making you pay for ruining her life. She ruined her own life. I know that, and you know that, but she doesn't see it that way. Felix, I think she's planning something. Like what? I don't know. But she asked me a lot of questions about your daily routine, your work schedule, where you live now. She knows where I live. It's where she used to live. She also asked about me, about us, about whether we've been spending time together. Something cold settled in my stomach. What kind of questions? Whether we've been consoling each other, whether our partnership in bringing her down was personal or just business. What did you tell her? I told her the truth, that we're friends, that I helped you because what she did was wrong, and that her paranoia is just another sign of how far she's fallen. But she didn't believe you. Felix, she's convinced that you and I have been having an affair. She thinks this whole thing was orchestrated so we could be together. The irony was staggering. Brielle, who had been cheating for 6 months, was now convinced that I was the cheater. That's insane. Insane people do insane things. I think you should be prepared for her to show up and make accusations. Let her. I've got nothing to hide. I know that. But Felix, what if she shows up when we're together? What if she sees us having dinner or coffee and decides that proves her theory? I thought about that. Maris and I had been spending more time together lately. She'd been helping me navigate the divorce proceedings, and I'd been helping her process her complicated feelings about her sister's behavior. We'd become genuine friends, bonded by shared experience and mutual respect. But we weren't having an affair. We'd never even discussed the possibility. Are you worried about what people might think? I asked. I'm worried about what Brielle might do if she thinks her delusions are confirmed. The next evening, I found out exactly what Brielle might do. I was working late at the office, finishing up a compliance report, when the building's security guard called my extension. Mr. Rourde, there's a woman here who says she's your wife. She's demanding to see you, and she seems agitated. What does she look like? Blonde, well-dressed, but kind of frantic. She's got flowers, and she keeps saying she needs to apologize to you. Flowers and apologies. That wasn't Brielle's style, especially not after 3 weeks of radio silence. Don't let her up. Tell her I'm not available, and that she needs to contact my attorney if she wants to communicate with me. She's not taking no for an answer, sir. She's getting pretty upset. I'm coming down. I called Nash on my way to the elevator. Brielle's at my office building, and something feels off. Can you get here? On my way. Don't confront her alone. The elevator ride down felt like it took forever. When the doors opened, I could hear Brielle's voice echoing through the lobby. High-pitched, emotional, desperate. I know he's here. I know he's avoiding me because he feels guilty about what he's done. She was standing at the security desk, holding a bouquet of roses and wearing a dress I recognized from our early dating days. Her makeup was perfect, her hair was styled, but something about her eyes was wrong. Too bright, too intense, too focused. Hello, Brielle. She spun around, and her face lit up with a smile that didn't reach those two bright eyes. Felix. Honey, I've been trying to reach you for weeks. We need to talk. We have nothing to talk about. Everything goes through our attorneys now. But that's just it. We don't need attorneys. This whole thing has been a terrible misunderstanding. She stepped closer, and I could smell her perfume, the same scent she'd worn on our first date. I know you're angry, and you have every right to be. I made mistakes, terrible mistakes. But we can fix this. Brielle, it's over. We're getting divorced. Because of her, right? The smile faltered. Because of my sister. She's been poisoning you against me, hasn't she? Maris didn't poison me against anyone. You did that all by yourself. Don't lie to me, Felix. I know what's been going on. I know you've been sleeping with her. That's not true. Then why won't you give us another chance? Why won't you even listen to me? Her voice was getting louder, more desperate. We had 12 good years together. Doesn't that mean anything to you? It meant everything to me. That's why what you did hurt so much. What I did? What about what you did? You destroyed my life, my business, my reputation, my future. You took everything from me. I protected myself from someone who was planning to betray me. By betraying me first, by turning everyone against me, by stealing my own sister. She was shouting now, and the security guard was looking nervous. Ma'am, the guard said, I'm going to have to ask you to lower your voice or leave the building. I'm not leaving until my husband agrees to talk to me like a rational adult. I'm not your husband anymore, Brielle, not in any way that matters. That's when she snapped. The fake smile disappeared, the desperate pleading stopped, and I saw the real Brielle underneath, cold, calculating, and absolutely furious. You think you've won? She said quietly. You think you're so smart, with your lawyers and your frozen accounts and your little revenge campaign, but you haven't won anything. I've won my freedom. Have you? Because I'm going to make sure everyone knows what kind of man you really are. I'm going to tell them how you manipulated my sister, how you turned my friends against me, how you destroyed an innocent woman's life because your ego couldn't handle being left for a better man. Go ahead, tell anyone who'll listen. Oh, I will, starting with your boss. Did you know I called him today? Told him about your emotional instability and how you've been using company resources to stalk and harass me? That's not true. Isn't it? You used your assistant to research my personal life. You used your professional skills to trace my financial activities. You used your position to intimidate and threaten me. She smiled, and it was genuinely frightening. How do you think that's going to look to your employer? Before I could respond, the lobby doors opened and Nash walked in. He took one look at the situation and positioned himself where he could intervene if necessary. Brielle saw him and laughed. And here's your attack dog. What's the matter, Felix? Can't fight your own battles? Ma'am, Nash said calmly, you need to leave now. Or what? You'll assault me? In front of witnesses? She pulled out her phone. I'm recording this, by the way, for when I file harassment charges against both of you. You're free to record, Nash said, just like I'm free to record your harassment and threats against Mr. Rourde. Harassment? I'm trying to save my marriage. Your marriage ended when you decided to cheat, I said. Everything that's happened since then has been consequences. Consequences? Her voice rose to a shriek. You want to talk about consequences? Fine. Let's talk about consequences. She threw the roses at my feet and pulled out her phone. I'm calling the police. I'm telling them that you and your sister-in-law have been conspiring to destroy me, that you've been stalking me, threatening me, using your professional position to abuse me. Go ahead, I said. I have documentation of everything I've done, and it's all legal. We'll see about that. She started dialing, but before she could complete the call, the lobby doors opened again and Maris walked in. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Hello, Brielle, Maris said calmly. You. Brielle's voice was pure venom. You manipulative snake. This is all your fault. Actually, this is all your fault, but I'm here to end it. End it? You think you can end this? I'm going to destroy both of you. I'm going to make sure everyone knows what you really are. What we really are, Maris said, is two people who got tired of watching you hurt everyone around you without consequences. I'm calling the police. Good idea. Maris pulled out her own phone. I'll call them too. I'll tell them about the threatening texts you've been sending Felix, the harassment, the false accusations you've been making to his employer, the way you've been stalking both of us for weeks. Brielle's face went white. I haven't been stalking anyone. Really? Then how did you know Felix was working late tonight? How did you know I was having dinner with my friend Sarah across the street? How did you know to wait until exactly the right moment to show up here? You've been following us, Brielle, watching us, trying to find evidence of an affair that doesn't exist because you can't accept that your own actions destroyed your marriage. You're sleeping with him. I know you are. No, I'm not. But even if I were, it wouldn't matter. Felix was free to sleep with anyone he wanted the moment you decided to cheat on him. That's different. How is it different? Because Brielle seemed to deflate, all the fight going out of her at once. Because I loved him. I still love him. No, you don't, Maris said gently. You love what he represented. Security, stability, someone to take care of you while you did whatever you wanted, but you never loved him enough to be faithful to him. That's not true. It is true, and deep down you know it. Brielle looked around the lobby, at me, at Maris, at Nash, at the security guard who was clearly ready to call the police himself. She seemed to realize finally that she was alone, that her threats and manipulations weren't going to work anymore. I have nothing left, she whispered. You have your freedom, I said. You have the chance to start over and build a life that makes you genuinely happy instead of just comfortable. With what? You took everything from me? I took what was legally mine. What you build from here is up to you. She stared at me for a long moment, and I saw something shift in her expression. The desperation faded, replaced by a cold acceptance. You're right, she said quietly. I did this to myself. Yes, you did. And you're never going to forgive me. Forgiveness isn't the issue anymore, Brielle. Trust is, and that's something you can never rebuild. She nodded slowly, picked up her purse, and walked toward the door. At the last moment, she turned back. For what it's worth, she said, I really did love you. I just didn't love you enough. I know, I said. That's what made it so painful. She left then, walking out into the night and out of my life forever. A month later, Maris showed up at my apartment with Chinese takeout and a bottle of wine. I have news, she said as we settled on my couch. Good news or bad news? Depends on your perspective. Brielle left town. She's moving to Portland to stay with our cousin and try to rebuild her life. That's probably for the best. She also wanted me to give you this. Maris handed me an envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper with Brielle's handwriting. I'm sorry. Not for leaving, but for how I left. You deserved better. Brielle. Short and sweet, I said. She was never good with words when it mattered. We ate dinner in comfortable silence, and I realized that somewhere in the process of getting revenge on my cheating wife, I'd found something I hadn't expected, a genuine friendship with someone who understood me better than I'd understood myself. Felix, Maris said as she was getting ready to leave. Yeah? Brielle was wrong about a lot of things, but she was right about one thing. What's that? You do deserve better. She kissed my cheek. Friendly, sisterly, nothing more. And left. I sat in my quiet apartment, thinking about the past few months. The betrayal, the anger, the careful planning and systematic revenge. It had been satisfying in its way, but ultimately hollow. What was knit hollow was the friendship I'd built with Maris, the respect I'd earned from people like Nash and Rita, and the knowledge that I'd stood up for myself when it mattered most. A month later, Brielle showed up at my door one last time. She looked different. Thinner, less polished, wearing jeans and a simple sweater instead of designer clothes. Her hair was shorter, her makeup minimal. She looked for the first time in years like a real person instead of a carefully constructed image. "I know I shouldn't be here," she said. "No, you shouldn't. I just wanted to say goodbye properly, and to tell you that I get it now. I understand what I threw away. Do you? I was selfish and stupid and cruel. I took you for granted, and I hurt you in ways that can never be forgiven. I know that. Okay. I also know that it's too late to fix anything between us. I'm not here to ask for another chance. Then why are you here? Because I can't live with the guilt anymore. I need you to know that losing you was the biggest mistake of my life, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life regretting it." Before I could respond, I heard footsteps on the stairs behind her. Maris appeared, carrying groceries and looking surprised to see her sister. "Brielle, what are you doing here?" "I came to apologize to Felix. And to you." Brielle turned to her sister. "I know you were just trying to protect him from me. I know you were right to help him." "Brielle, no, let me finish. I spent so many years being jealous of you. Your intelligence, your integrity, the way people respected you. I thought I was better because I was prettier, more popular, more successful, but I was wrong. You're everything I should have been." Maris set down her groceries and looked at her sister with something that might have been pity. "I'm not your enemy, Brielle. I never was. I know, I made you my enemy because it was easier than admitting I was wrong." She turned back to me. "Felix, I get it now. I can't live without you." Before I could answer, Maris stepped forward, smiling coldly. "Then you'll have to learn." Those were the last words Brielle ever heard from either of us. She stood there for a moment, understanding finally that some bridges, once burned, can never be rebuilt. Then she turned and walked away, and we never saw her again. Maris and I went inside, and she started putting away groceries like nothing had happened. "That was harsh," I said. "That was necessary," she replied. "Some people only learn through consequences. And some people never learn at all. True, but that's not our problem anymore." She was right. Brielle's problems were no longer mine to solve, her pain no longer mine to heal, her choices no longer mine to live with. I was free.